A reflection of what democracy has been like from 1999 till date. You agree with me, there's been uninterrupted democratic leadership from 1999. That's quite a huge history we've got there. Looking at over 25 years, and by Thursday, June 12, 2025, is going to be 26 years anniversary. And looking at a reflection of what it has been like, our reforms, electoral reforms, I mean, and of course the rule of law, under the present leadership or in the past, make a comparative analysis and see if the Nigerian citizenry is really having a fresh air as regards an improvement or robust nature of our democratic leadership from 1999 till date. Joining me to have a very beautiful conversation on this. From my extreme left, I have a political analyst and a social media influencer and the person of Frank Eyosun. Big thanks for joining, Frank.
Well, it's quite a pleasure.
It's been a while. All right, next to Frank, we also have another political analyst, Benson Odia. Good morning, Benson.
Thank you. Good morning, viewers.
Well, we're going to be having a twin conversation, and of course, let's visit the national aspect of democratic leadership before we look at the transparency and accountability agenda on the Edo State government with Senator Mondo Okpebholo. But Frank, let's have a refresher course on how it has been like in Nigeria democratically from 1999 till date.
It was Buhari that changed the Democracy Day celebration from to June 12th.
Of course.
So if
that was in 2018?
In 2018. If you want to go by the real timeline, we came 6 on May 29th. So there will be additional about 2 weeks as a June 12th. No
exactly.
Doubt. But that does not reduce the purport of that action. In 26 years, it's been quite a journey. I would summarize it before I hit the nail on the head in viewpoint highlighted subsequently.
Exactly.
Kalmer was a reporter for one of the renowned print and electronic medias in the world. He was in Nigeria for a while before the Democratic Republic commenced, because he used to cover Africa. Now, when he came to Nigeria, he wrote a book which he published in year 2000. And the title of that book, I still have my copy of the book. Anytime I look at it, I feel a bit enthralled, and sometimes it's mixed feeling. The title of the book is "This House Has Fallen, Nigeria in Crisis." He wrote that book 25 years ago. That was under the leadership of General Olusegun Obasanjo. The book was banned as at that time. Obiji obviously didn't fancy the concept. If you read the book and you appreciate what he put forth at that time, what bothers me now is that I tell myself that if Kalmer were to come back to Nigeria in 2025, 25 years after I wrote that book, what will he title the book if he wanted to rewrite it? Because most of the things the guy complained about that got him so shocked that were happening in Nigeria, that made him to write that book, that this house has fallen, Nigeria in crisis, they were at kindergarten stage. There is none of the complaints highlighted in that book that has not increased in gargantuan proportion. When he wrote that book, there was no Boko Haram. When he wrote that book, there were no bandits.
Wow.
When he wrote that book, there were no kidnappings. When he wrote that book, inflation was between, if I have my data by figure right, I'm sure less than 11% or thereabout. So if you come down to where we are today, I'm just saying I want to use that narrative to put forth a viewpoint before I highlight what I want to talk about, the democratic evolution in this Fourth Republic. You see, nations don't succeed by chance. Nations succeed by choice. In the same light, nations don't fail by chance. Nations fail by choice. And that choice is normally a reflection of the cumulative purport of the people's proclivities, which is vitalized by a few who in every society, in every nation, are the ones that have the mandate to so exercise such powers. So in such organogram, the bulk of responsibility of either failure or success of a state is incumbent more, not just more, but overwhelmingly more on those who have that mandate. Of course, that's why they say the buck stops on the table of leadership.
Exactly.
So between 1999 and today, the story is not exciting. Maybe the only exciting story is what you mentioned earlier, that there's uninterrupted democratic as in a process for 26 years going, no interruption. But is the absence of interruption worth celebrating? Between 1999 and 2025 that we are today, go and see voter turnout. If democracy is truly celebrated by the people as it ought to be, there will have been increase in voter turnout. If you check the statistics from 1999 to 2003 to 2007 to 2011, 2015, 2019, 2023, it's been on the decline. The last presidential election, the voter turnout was less than 25%. Less than 25%. If you compare with our neighboring country, Ghana, where you are talking about 70% voter turnout, that's just a point to highlight. I say that because in a democracy, one of the most fundamental points that reflects the vibrancy of the system is the nature of our elections. And when the elections are appropriate, there is confidence in the system. See the story of the guy in Burkina Faso. Even if I'm not quite his fan, but social media and no doubt he iterates some fundamental points that are exciting. But there was statistics that I perused it on BBC and some other international channels, where they say that the people in Africa, especially in West Africa, have lost confidence in democracy. It's not democracy that is the problem. It is those who steer the ship of states that make democracy look like it has problems. The word democracy stems from two basic Greek words, dating back to over 500 BC, Demos and Kratos. Demos, the people, Kratos, rule. The combination of the two words is what brings about democracy, the rule of the people. So where the people are prime in all that pertains to nationhood and governance, democracy will thrive. But we have a system where the people are seemingly shortchanged. That's why I said that it's not a Uhuru song, unfortunately. Now, if you look at it from the standpoint of our GDP, in 1999, when we started this journey, Nigeria was not so good, no doubt, but we were not the poverty headquarters of the world. In our democratic evolution in the Fourth Republic, in 19 years, by 2018, we became the poverty headquarters of the world. Is that worth celebrating? Now, by the statistics presently, we may not be the poverty headquarters of the world, but I think we are second to the last, either second to the last, or within that margin. So the data available based on where we have come so far is not exciting.
All right.
That is the truth.
Well, quite a sad trajectory, or let me say quite a sad narrative. But
it can be better. It's just a matter of the choices we make.
Of course, that's where we're going. And let's have your bite, Benson, because I believe you have a different, narrative. Because it can't just be all bad from 1999 to now.
You see, my school of thought, by the grace of God, I am the executive director, Center for Democracy, Good Leadership, and Economic Justice.
Oh, you are in the middle of it all.
So if you look at, that is my area. Yeah. That is my area. I'm even happy that I'm here today.
Okay, thank you.
So the truth is that if you look at all these issues of the political evolution between 1999, the Nigeria political mainstream, we as citizens, as analysts, we are very quick as maybe blaming the leaders of the country for our economic woes and our economic meltdown and what have you. You see, this country, the development of Nigeria as a country, of Nigeria democracy, is a collective responsibility of all and sundry. All the citizens of this country must be involved. If you look at it, let's take it from this perspective. In Nigeria today, some persons who are going to be member of House of Reps in 2027, member of Senate, they are part of the electorate, they are part of the masses today. I don't subscribe to the saying that Nigeria have a leadership problem. No.
So leaders, they came from the followers.
Nigeria have a followership problem. We as Nigerians, we are not, that patriotism is not there. Today, we are very quick as casting aspersion on the leadership of the country. We say all sorts of things on those who are who are in government, either instead of us to render a kind of constructive criticism.
Okay.
No, let me come in.
Let's look at the bright side, because you seem to have an idea of the bright side from 1999 to date.
Yes.
Can you give us that?
If you look at it as it is, Nigeria as a country in this dispensation, within these 26 years of uninterrupted democracy, I believe that I'm of the opinion that we as a country, we have made a significant improvement and progress in terms of political development.
How?
Yes. In this country today, the country has been able to, I may not be able to start highlighting the achievement of one president or one administration or the other.
Okay.
But before now, I can remember when I was in secondary school, if I want to talk to a family member in UK, and we have to leave all the way from Igwebe, I'll come to Benin. We'll come and make a phone call.
No, we're talking about strengthening institutions,
of
democratic
course,
institutions.
When you are, it's part of it.
The one you just highlighted, it comes with development naturally. You
Okay,
know, that's a
you
universal
say you
thing.
cannot- you-
But we're looking at what the country's leadership has been able to do in terms of strengthening democracy. Don't forget, that's where you are the center of it all.
You see, just like I said earlier,
Yeah.
to strengthen democracy is not the business of the legislative arm of government or the executive or the judiciary. Is a collective responsibility of Nigerian citizens.
Okay, but do you see the legislative arm or the National Assembly? Do you see them improving on democratic rule?
Very
Do
well.
you see them making provisions that will help to strengthen democracy?
Of course, if you look at the National Assembly in recent times, let's take for instance the new electoral act. The new electoral act that stipulates, that have many considerations, that as a person, like the local government, you must give a notice of 90 days before a local government election can be conducted. We are in Edo State. We know what happened in the past. Just some months ago, just approximately 2 years ago, when the former Eshek chairman and the governor, as it were, just give about 14 days notice to conduct a local government election. But today, the leadership of the National Assembly has promulgated a law that in the electoral act, which is now part of our electoral system, that before election, a local government election can be, at least 90 days notice must be given.
Okay.
That one is on one side. Number two, those appointed officers, maybe you are a special advisor to the president or to the governor, or maybe you are a honorable commissioner, before you can go to your state to say you want to contest for any elected position, you must put up, you must resign. All these are institutional reforms.
Okay. Now, okay.
I'm coming.
All right.
Today in this country, the National Assembly has been involved over the times in a lot of oversight functions in terms of being there in the area of checks and balances to the executive and to some other governmental agencies and government.
They've been very effective.
They're very effective.
Okay. Let's get your thought, because he just brought that, and it's been on my mind, to look at the electoral reforms, of course, how it has been from 1999 till date. Would you say that there's nothing to celebrate in that regard? Because we've seen technology taking some front seat.
Celebration for me is a very big term. I want to say something, first of all, as in, that somebody is moving does not, in a sense, is not retrogressing, is moving. A journey that the person can cover in 30 minutes, but the person chooses to walk very slow, and that journey may now take about 3 months to cover. The person may think that is really making progress, but when measured against relativity, because there is the dynamic equilibrium of the universe at large, the person is retrogressing. So, my co-discussant, I appreciate his excitement concerning Nigeria. If you watch what I affirmed from the outset, I didn't mention any particular administration or government. because I would hit the nail on the head as I go on my narrative. That it's not about Tinubu. Some have tried on some notes, some have equally made the best, done the best they could do.
Okay.
I'm looking at it from a systemic flaw.
Okay. We're going to be taking a short break, after which we come back to you. As this morning on ITV, we're going to continue with the conversation after this break. Do stay.
TMI, every opinion counts.
Thank you for staying with us, and it's TMI, and we are on democracy and development, looking at the growth since 1999. Let's join you from where you left off, Frank.
Yeah, I was talking about the fact that my co-discussant's emphasis about everybody is invariably responsible. It deviates quite from the trust of nationhood. I will ask him a very simple question. A few weeks ago, or about a month ago, environmental sanitation was restored in the state. Were you consulted? Could I have taken that decision? No matter the profundity of my ideas or opinion, can I impact policy in ITV? Except for the fact that maybe people buy into it. But the governor wanted a cleaner environment. And there is environmental sanitation, which even some people will say, okay, somebody went to court in Lagos and they said that you can't restrict people's movement. The fact that people need to keep their place clean should not interfere with their movement and whatnot. But somebody has the power to so do. How can you compare that person with the follower? It is a crime against humanity to view nations from that standpoint. Somebody gave me the same viewpoint one day. We were on Saple Road. I was driving. And the people were just saying that, see, people are disorderly, because some people were taking one way, that, see, because people are doing that. I told him, look, this is inherent in nature. From before the time of Thomas Hobbes, when he wrote his piece, The Leviathan, it has been fundamental that man by nature is inclined to rebellion. As we're talking about this stuff, a lady, a young lady, wearing ESMA uniform, just crossed. As the lady crossed, the lady didn't say anything. People began to take the right way. I said, do you see the enormity of authority?
Yeah.
The lady did not say anything. People took the right way because somebody in authority had come out. How do you compare power, those who are giving power to do things, with the follower? It's a crime against humanity. When did he wanted to make policy on liberalization of the Naira? Did he consult any of you, any of us? He took the decision because he had the money to so do. Whatever it is that drives a nation is dependent on decisions taken by these people. And you want to say that we are all involved? I beg to differ, please. Don't make the man who is suffering in the street to become a victim of what is already victim of without his choice.
Okay,
now,
what do you see as a vehicle that can take us to our destination?
No, I'm not on this point. Now, the only area, unfortunately, or fortunately, where the followers are supposed to play a fundamental role is in their right of universal adult suffrage, which in the Nigerian context, like in most other countries, is every 4 years.
Yeah.
That is where they have the right to come and make a choice to say, the decisions shall be taken all this while have not been quite impactful. We want somebody else. But even in that area now, there's no certainty. Now,
And that's why we're having voter apathy.
of course, that is a factor by the side. You see, the present political model we operate in Nigeria is a fatal mix of medieval kinship and Asiatic patrimonialism. These are things that are so damn dated. China is one of the oldest countries in the world. The history of China dates back over 4,000 years. They had challenges with kinship. They had challenges with patrimonialism. Over and over, they overcame this stuff and ensured that institutions were prioritized.
Okay.
If you study the evolution of nation state, what brought about institutions? So Nigeria as it is going further down the... Let me tell you something. Tinubu is contesting for election. I think, but I don't think himself is a victim. It's just that he's a beneficial victim based on the status he occupies. Because the system as it is does not guarantee the best for all and sundry. That is why in 26 years, check all the major data in terms of evolution democratically. It is on the decline. That is the truth.
Okay, how do we build confidence? How do we build confidence in the democratic system?
It's simple. But as it is now, the best we can get from the political system is a concentric circle of a few steps forward and guaranteed steps backward on and on going on. That is what this political system guarantees. Now, since it's a democracy, for democracy to stand, it must stand on its fundamental pillars.
Exactly.
The pillars of conflict and the pillars of consensus within relevant rules, as far as the law is concerned. What we need in Nigeria is simply to place primacy on what is appropriate, the rule of law.
Yeah.
What we have today,
As propounded by Evidaisi.
what we have today is more like the rule of connection. The law takes the backseat. Who you know takes primacy over what, in quotes, the law that is on your side.
Okay. Well, Benson seems not to agree with you. Let's hear your thoughts before we go into democracy at the state level.
You see, if you look at all these issues, you see, I'm a teacher by training. It is good you explain things in a very practical terms, in the way those who are watching at home will understand. If you look at all these issues, you talk about democracy, institutionalization, we just speak English. See, let me tell you, the truth is that those at home who will stay on the queue on the election day, they are involved. Let me tell you, let me come in this way. You see, election is being contested. I know Mr. Iragbe as a man of integrity who has conscience. Then the other one, we know as at the time we were in SUG, how the students' welfare money was siphoned by him. But by the time the other one that have a questionable character, by the time the political leadership and the money bag brought money and 6 years of textile materials and start sharing it, people who originally come from home that want to vote for the persons that will actually bring the Indian development will switch because of a 6,000 naira wrapper and started doing something on the contrary. See, let me tell you something. You see, I will keep on saying it.
And we can't celebrate that, can we?
No, we can't celebrate that. So, anywhere I find myself, I must continue to tell you I'm of the opinion that Nigeria doesn't have a leadership problem. Nigeria as a country, the problem we have is the problem of followers. Those who are going to be elected tomorrow as a senator, as a Lagos State National Assembly, and what have you, they are members of the electorate today.
But you just pointed out that even a leader comes up trying to induce the followers, and you seem not to blame the leader for that, for doing that.
Why?
Is it not wrong to give bribe, just as it's also equally wrong to take it?
It is wrong to give bribe.
So why are you shying away from the leader?
I am not shying away from. I am not praising. I'm not supporting the leadership of the country or whatever. But it will be very wrong for us to just start blaming those in authority.
If you hear what he said, who is at the helm of affairs? Who steers the leadership?
Who enforces the law?
Who enforces the law?
You see, when
Who makes sure that everything that has to do with from the top gets to the bottom?
Good. When you are talking
is it not the leaders?
Good. When you are talking of enforcement of law, if you are enforcing law, the citizens are also part of the enforcement process. Let me tell you something. Just like, let me go back to him when he said that environmental sanitation. Are you aware that that very day?
He gave that as an instance.
As an instance. They say restriction of movement. Although there are existing laws and litigation of some activists and human rights that went to court that you cannot restrain movement of a citizen in consonance with the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended. But there are some persons who will decide to stay at home. They will stay at home indoors. They will not even clear feet. They will not sweep. Is there any sign of patriotism? You see, in this country, if we must move forward, okay, we should forget about whether leadership are bad on our own. Nigeria, we must change the psychosocial aspect of Nigerian citizens.
Thank you, Benson.
Towards governance. We must be able to balance it.
Thank you, Benson.